Hello everybody, here we are today and we're going to be talking just about some things that have happened recently in the NHL, talking about the San Jose Sharks, the Los Angeles Kings, and Alex Ovechkin. So before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get into it. First, we'll talk about the San Jose Sharks, a team that started off the year very poorly, projected to be a team that wasn't going to be very good, and while they still aren't very good right now, they are a team that's been able to string together some success. They started off the year, big losses to the Canucks and the Penguins, and they were a team that also almost set the record for most losses to kick off a season. Luckily, things have gone relatively better since then, and in fact, they have wins in 3 of their past 4 games. And the past 2 games have really been the highlight of what's been going on here for the Sharks. They've been able to come back from big deficits and win those games. So their previous game before this game was against the New York Islanders. They were down 4-1 in the third. They end up rallying back in the third to tie, end up sending it into overtime where they win 5-4. And then last night in Patrick Kane's debut for the Red Wings, I actually ended up watching this game. The Red Wings were able to build up a 40-0 lead in the second period. However, in the second period, the Sharks were able to rally back with 4 goals of their own. I believe 2 of those were shorthanded, at least that's what it said. I don't really know because I watched when the Wings ended up going up 4-0, and then I said, this is kind of over. And the Sharks, again, were able to win in overtime 6-5 over Detroit as they have back-to-back big wins and now have 8 wins on the year, and most importantly are not the worst team in the NHL. That honor, I guess if you want to call it that, is going to the Chicago Blackhawks for the moment. Not saying that Chicago is a team that is going to be below San Jose at the end of the year. Theoretically they could flip-flop throughout the season. However, for the Sharks, ever since their GM Mike Greer ended up having a talk with him, they've been able to pick up some wins. Ideally, you want to be able to get a top 4 pick and maybe even get the first overall pick. But the Sharks lately have been able to get some W's, and just kind of wanted to highlight that, especially with the past 2 being really funny. Now, the second thing we're talking about is the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings are a team that started off the year having expectations of going back to the playoffs for a 3rd straight season, ended up trading to get Pierre-Luc Dubois, and now they have set the record for most wins to start off a season. Now, I know that there was a record besides this for wins in between seasons, but this is to kick off a season from what I understand. Ended up winning 11 in a row so far and are just really in a good groove on the road. With those 11 wins away from home, they've been able to, kind of build up and have a really good start to the season. About 30 games into the year, they are 4th overall in league standings, and I think what's important here is Vegas is above them, yes, but they are within 4 points of Vegas, if I am correct, and they have 4 games in hand. So realistically, we could be talking about how the Kings are not only the top team in their division, but they are the top team in the West. The Boston Bruins and the New York Rangers are the only other 2 teams in the top 4, and again, obviously they're out east. And for the Kings, this is really big because if you're able to get, to play at home, it's less travel, but if you're able to go on the road, it doesn't really seem to matter for them as much, and I think that is really big for this side, to be able to do what they're doing and know that, hey, we might just be playing playoff hockey at the end of the year and everybody's probably going to lose a game or 2 at home during the playoffs. We are a team that really benefits from playing on the road. We just manage to get wins when we need to on the road. And for the Kings, I think that is really going to be a good thing for them. Whether or not it really does matter, because, looking at this, you could say, well, maybe they end up having a bad stretch on the road towards the end of the year. I couldn't tell you. But if they are one of the better road sides this season, it would be kind of cool to look back at this and say, well, if they made a run, we could talk about maybe them losing in the first round, second round, whatever, and they go down 2-0 and have to go on the road. Guess what? Maybe it's not a big deal for them. And I think that would just be so fun. And then finally, we have to talk about Alex Ovechkin. Ovi last night ended up hitting 1,500 career points. It was a big deal because he is now just one of 16 players in NHL history to hit the mark. Looking at Alex Ovechkin, he is a guy that has been able to achieve a lot individually and with his team, the Washington Capitals. This year has kind of been a little bit of a slow year for him, and it's been frustrating for a lot of people if you're fans of him, thinking, okay, now we got to get it in gear, we're less than 70 goals away from Wayne Gretzky's record, let's get going. However, I think it's important when you have nights like this to look back and say, okay, it's one of those deals where it's a big picture thing. Yes, maybe he's not scoring goals as much as you'd like. However, he is now just one of 16 players in NHL history to hit 1,500 points. and probably has a absolutely easy, great chance of moving up in a 13th all-time by the end of the season. Ovechkin will eventually start scoring some goals. Whether or not he's going to be able to hit 30 goals this year, I couldn't tell you, but that'll help chip in, as he is a player that won't hit 2,000 points for his career, but he's going to be top 10 by the end of his career, I'd have to imagine, in points, and is somebody that is chasing, again, those records, not just the goal record, but chasing the accolades of being able to slide into some of these other categories. So for Ovi, obviously, congratulations, as the Capitals have been able to outperform expectations early on in the year. Maybe, just maybe, things can continue to where they claw their way into the playoffs and Ovechkin can do something, but we will see with that. And finally, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for the support I've got in my video, not the most recent one, but the one before that. You know, again, sometimes when you do this for a while, you have stretches where videos never really pop off, and that's okay because this is something I'm really passionate about. But, you know, when a video does go off, like the video talking about the teams where I said that their playoff chances were eliminated, I didn't really think that was going to get a lot of views. It just was something that I wanted to talk about. And this video cracked 500 views. It was my first time in like 8 months cracking 500 views, and we're kind of closing in on 600 views. We're able to get some subscribers off of it, and it's just cool to you know, to be able to feel that breakthrough, but at the same time to be able to see where I get some subscribers off that, because I do want to do this as a full-time career. So I just really appreciate it for everybody that liked the video, that commented on it, all that stuff. I can't thank you enough, because this is really what it's about, talking about hockey and then having people to talk about it with. So thank you so much for your guys' support. As always, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe, have a great night, and you go love hockey, alright? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.